This is a travel vlog about diaspora politics. I grew up around Miami, the metro area with the largest Venezuelan population in the US. And after Trump announced the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro, many Venezuelans around Miami celebrated. A recent poll even showed that almost half of Hispanic respondents in Miami-Dade County supported using military force in Venezuela. Having grown up Cuban-American in Miami, I didn't find that super surprising. Cuban-American support for regime change is pretty well documented. And those Cuban-Americans have found common ground with some Venezuelan migrants in Florida who wanted the US to oust Maduro. But here's where things get even more interesting to me. Lots of Venezuelan Floridians have been affected and angered by Trump's immigration crackdown targeting them. So have Cuban migrants, but Cuban-Americans have also benefited from decades of uniquely generous immigration policy. So you have these two big immigrant groups in what was a swing state until pretty recently. They've got some common ground on foreign policy, but less so on who they support. How voters and politicians navigate that dynamic could influence who's in power, and all of our lives. I flew home to find out how.
You have the tension between we want to get rid of Maduro and we want to get rid of the dictatorship. And Trump is doing that. But at the same time, look what he's doing on immigration.
But views on that tension aren't developing in a vacuum. In the 1950s and 60s, lots of Cubans, including my family, emigrated to Miami and stayed after Cuba's socialist revolution. That migration was largely made up of white, middle-class people. And the US government, motivated by Cold War-era anti-communism, gave Cuban migrants uniquely generous immigration policy and federal aid. That made Cuban Americans a powerful political force. After that, Republicans capitalized on that privilege and anti-communism to draw Cuban Americans largely to the right.
The Cubans in Miami have really an unusual impact on the making of American policy toward Latin America.
By the 2000s, this dynamic was already well established when more Venezuelan migrants opposing Hugo Chavez and Nicolás Maduro began arriving in Miami. So Cuban and Venezuelan Americans started organizing together to influence US foreign policy toward these countries.
They support us every time to give us, the power. Estoy esperanzado de que finalmente Estados Unidos haga algo por ayudar.
But that enthusiasm isn't universal across the people I talk to.
And every single other criminal, because that's what they are, that were in position of power during Maduro's regime, is still in power.
I will not celebrate a change of dictatorship for Venezuela nor for my country.
So remember this tension? This is really important to these communities in general, despite divides on how it's done. And this is related, because earlier Cubans' privilege here that led to their influence here is being eroded now by Republicans.
I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but there is disillusionment.
This creates another shared concern between Venezuelan and Cuban communities here, and it may have already affected who's in power. The city of Miami, which is about 1/3 Cuban, just elected a Democrat as mayor for the first time in 30 years. So what comes next? It's an election year. These shifts could affect who voters here sent to Congress and how those lawmakers legislate all of our lives. And it could stem the onslaught of draconian policies that state lawmakers here have made national headlines over. And even if that doesn't happen overnight, shifts now could lay the groundwork for future elections.
If Cubans fall off the Republican bandwagon and the Democrats take the opportunity to do something about it, then you have a chance to shift things.